By 2050, the United Nations estimates that food production will need to increase by 50% in order to feed the growing global population. However, as climate change continues to progress, the agriculture industry is facing more and more challenges related to food production. Increased flood and drought events and declining pollinator populations are just some of the challenges that climate change poses for crop production. To add further complexity, these agricultural practices that are impacted by climate change also contribute to greenhouse gas emissions and biodiversity loss. So the question is, how will crop production meet growing global food demands given these growing environmental challenges? Well, what if I told you that there is a natural structure that improves the resiliency of crop production to climate change? The natural structure I'm referring to is wetlands. During my placement with Alberta Pulse Growers, I conducted a literature review on beneficial agricultural wetland management. My research focused on the roles of agricultural wetlands in climate change adaptation and mitigation. I also compared the opportunity costs of agricultural wetlands to the benefits that they provide for crop production. Often, a negative perception is associated with agricultural wetlands. This is because the space that wetlands occupy removes land from production. As well, operating farm machinery around wetlands can increase the cost per hectare of crop production. So for these reasons, wetlands are largely viewed as an opportunity cost for agriculture. However, wetlands also provide important ecosystem services that are frequently overlooked. For example, wetlands buffer the effects of floods and droughts. Both too much and too little water are detrimental for crop production. As climate change drives increases in the severity and frequency of extreme weather events, wetlands will be instrumental for mitigating crop damages caused by flooding and droughts. Wetlands also provide habitat for pollinators. Many crops grown in Alberta, like canola and pulses, depend on insect pollination. Wetlands act as a refuge, supporting pollinator populations on agricultural landscapes. Through examining the different ways wetlands impact agriculture, my research highlights that wetlands improve crop yields and the resiliency of agriculture to climate change. Climate change creates huge challenges with regard to increasing crop production to meet growing global food demands. But agricultural wetlands address many of these challenges, from buffering flood and drought impacts to increasing pollinator abundance. Wetland restoration and conservation practices are essential for improving the resiliency of agricultural production to climate change and meeting future food demands.